Welcome back, everyone. Do you also see a problem with the size of the PDF on your screen? We had been trying to solve that problem, that for some reason the aspect ratio is not what it should be. Yeah. So on your screens also it shows with white borders. We also, I don't know, for the last 10 minutes, we also have been stuck here because of this size thing. I mean, is it clear on your screen? Do you are you facing any issues? I mean, does it work? I mean, can we go ahead with our class? Okay, we can. Okay. Because I've asked them to check it. I mean, last 10 minutes we wasted only on this because we could not understand why this was happening. All right. So the next topic that we have is Internet of Things. Now, what we have discussed until now is about the various different types of communication technologies and largely about wireless communication. Now, from here on, you can see in a manner we are entering into computing areas that is more of you can say information technology. Now, when it comes to Internet of Things, to understand what we mean by Internet of Things, let me just start with a question. And this is a question that came in your 2018 prelims paper. Read this question. Please let me know when you have completed reading this question. All right, done. B is the answer. Everybody knows that B is the answer because we are anyway discussing about Internet of Things. So I'm not going to launch any poll for this question. So the question says, when the alarm of your smartphone rings in the morning, you wake up and tap it to stop the alarm, which causes your geyser to be switched on automatically. The smart mirror in your bathroom shows the day's weather and also indicates the level of water in your overhead tank. After you take some groceries from your refrigerator for making breakfast, it recognizes the shortage of stock in it and places an order for supply of fresh grocery items. When you step out of your house and lock the door, all lights, fans, geysers, AC machines get switched off automatically. On your way to office, your car warns you about traffic congestion ahead and suggests an alternative route, and if you are late for a meeting it sends a message to your office accordingly. So it's a wonderful life that has been described in this question. So this question basically is about how Internet of Things work. Now, in case of Internet of Things, what we basically see is that we are talking about a network of electronic devices. This is precisely what you see in this particular question also, that there is a network of all these electronic devices which are able to communicate with one another, whether it's the geyser, whether it is the smartphone or the smart mirror or even the car or the coffee machine and all these things for that matter. So this is what Internet of Things is, where you have all these connections and all these electronic devices, they can just interact with one another. Understood what is Internet of Things? Is Does this question itself explain you well? So then we can move on to the next topic. but we won't. Let me just go into the detail of what is Internet of Things. So overall, when we say Internet of Things, we are talking about a network of things. Things here, in a manner, I would say we are talking about electronic devices. A network of electronic devices which are able to communicate with one another. Now, in this particular scenario, when we talk about Internet of Things, the question that was asked, it was about a luxurious life. Somebody wrote here ideal life. I wouldn't say ideal, I would say luxurious. We do not know whether that's the ideal life, but a luxurious life where you have all these electronic devices which are capable of communicating with one another. Now, although it has shown only the personal side of things, when we look at the applications of Internet of Things, we find that there are various different ways in which they can potentially become useful for us. So whether it is in the health sector, where it will help in health monitoring, it can help in understanding the patient better. It can also help in all the devices that are there in a hospital, everything that is connected to the vitals of a particular patient. Every one of those instruments, every one of those equipments can also communicate among one another. So that's why in this particular scenario, we understand that in healthcare, it can actually play a big role. At the same time, it can also help us in power sector. It can also help us in building better infrastructure. It can help us in optimizing the resources, whether it is related to energy or infrastructure or anything of that sort. At the same time, it will also help in agriculture, in the tracking of agriculture, the weather monitoring, the crop monitoring, the soil monitoring. In all these cases, also they can play a big role. So there are actually a lot of ways in which Internet of Things can actually become useful, and it's not only about somebody's personal life and how you can use all these equipments to your advantage. So that's why in case of Internet of Things, we are talking about all this entire network. Now this network, with the evolution of digital communication, has started becoming a reality, because as a concept it was given as a concept back in proposed as a concept back in 1999. But the internet connections and the kinds of devices that you had back then, they wouldn't be able to support a lot of activities that you want to do with the help of Internet of Things. But today that's possible with all the AI that has come in, and 5G technology, or uh, Wi-Fi 6 technology, where you are able to increase the speed, decrease the latency. You have much better quality electronic devices than ever. And with artificial intelligence also in the background, it will play a major role in making Internet of Things a better reality today. And that's why we see that there are a lot of things that can be done. There are so many sectors, as we discussed here, there are so many sectors that can get some help from Internet of Things, and hence it will also be able to improve upon a lot of areas. So that's why today we see that the government also has been investing a lot. The government also has been investing. They also have been setting up various processes so that Internet of Things can start becoming a reality in India in various different sectors. So for example, we see that a total of $15 billion worth of industry is being set up in India. Then a grant of rupees 18 crores in the initial stages have been given. Then we see that for especially for the MSME sector, rupees 6 lakhs per enterprise per year will be given. Uh, the monetary help will be given to everyone in this particular sector. Similarly, we see that in case of education also, it has started to become a part of the curriculum with everyone. Then as a part of Digital India mission also, this is being used as a part of National Digital Communications Policy also. Machine to machine communication, Internet of Things, and 5G technology, all these things are being brought as a part of the National Digital Communication Policy. So overall, we see that there are all these smaller steps that are being taken so that a better industrial integration can be done with Internet of Things. And there are a lot of areas where we see a lot of things changing once we start using the services of Internet of Things. Now, the first case of Internet of Things being used by the government of India was almost 5 years back, and that was the first Internet of Things based airport that was opened in Sikkim near Gantok. Now, This airport that was inaugurated, this is an IoT based airport where the Internet of Things based devices or equipments that we have, it will help in better earthquake prediction, or in a manner you can say that it's like an early warning system. Let me write this. It's like an early warning system. Early warning system. So as an early warning system, it will actually be able to work here, and that is precisely what we have tried in this thing. So overall, that's why we do find that there are a lot of areas, a lot of applications where Internet of Things can be used, and especially as I told you that as 5G and AI and Wi-Fi 6, etc., these all become a reality. We see that we'll be able to use Internet of Things much better than what we are doing right now. Still, I mean, it's in a very nascent stage where we have been trying to identify, try to understand how exactly can we use it, and we have been able to make good strides in the past few years. But still a long way to go, I would say. Now, limitations wise, initial setup cost could be high because we are talking about a lot of electronic devices with very advanced features and everything, and that's going to cost a lot more. So that's where the cost setup cost is going to be high. Similarly, internet connectivity and security issues are still a problem because it's still not, you cannot say that you have very good internet speeds everywhere. So unless you have wonderful internet speeds, it will not really help in internet I mean it will not help in setting up of all these kind of devices. Then one big challenge is about how it can lead to decrease in employment opportunities, that how it can lead to decrease in opportunities related to uh, let's say manual, especially whenever manual labor is happening and wherever in the industries people are working and a lot of manual force is required. This all might be replaced by Internet of Things based machines, that when we talk about robots or something called as robot swarms. So this could become a challenge, that robot swarms means that when you are using bunch of robots together, when we are using a bunch of robots together, that is called as robot swarms. So we see that this is something that can lead to threat to job security, because maybe a lot of manual labor will be uh, diverted towards robots and these kind of Internet of Things based machines. Similarly, there are concerns of digital surveillance. Now, digital surveillance, when we say, the meaning of digital surveillance is that this is where we are talking about how the digital devices or the electronic devices that are connected all together, they might be doing the surveillance of you, that they are maybe collecting your information, that every activity that you do, when do you use it, when do you not use it, what are the services that you're using more, what are the services that you don't use, where so everything, I mean, your time and your dependence on each and every one of these machines, all these information can be collected. And something that we already see, I mean, we already, it's not only about Internet of Things, but look at the electronic devices that we have today, whether it's your mobile phone or your laptop or your smartwatch or anything, they are collecting the information. If not anything, let's say your health information, your timings of everything, what you use, what you don't use, each and everything, right? So everywhere we see that this kind of a problem of digital surveillance has been increasing. We know that the devices are listening, the devices are collecting your information, and they use or misuse it a lot of times. So that's why digital surveillance concerns are there. Then reliability of sensors is also important, that you want all these instruments to communicate with one another, and if they want to communicate, the sensors have to be very strong and very sensitive, and then only they'll be able to get you a better communication altogether. Otherwise they can't. So that's why the sensors also matter a lot. Something again, for the robots also we discussed something like this, that you have a sensor there. So unless if you are working with, let's say, 10 robots in any given industry, then the sensors of all these 10 robots have to be perfect. Then only they can interact with one another, right? So that's what same goes for all these electronic devices as well, that unless their interaction is great, unless you see that they are able to uh, unless you see that they have very good sensors, they would not be able to give you optimized work. Then the consumption of power, we'll see that because these are all electronic devices connected to power sources, they are going to create a lot of trouble. So that's also a problem. And then lack of international standardization is also an issue, because a lot of these devices are being manufactured in different countries. So India might be using different standards, Russia might be using different standards, China might be using different standards, US might be using different standards. And if you have to use, you as a consumer, you have to use all these devices which have been manufactured in different countries in simultaneously, then they might not be able to communicate very well with one another, because uh, the basics, the logics that have been used in creating these devices might be very different. So again, this is something that creates a problem. And then lack of skilled resource to maintain and run the systems, because these are technologies which are new. These are new technologies, and hence they are going to take time to settle, and then only they become useful for you. uh, so that's why we need more people. We need people who understand internet of things, they understand how to run the operations, they understand how to develop these resources. So we need good people coming from backgrounds where they understand the future of these things as well. So that's why this question was asked in your 2018 paper, uh, in your prelims examination. uh, so the answer is internet of things. And this one fact about this question is that this question, as it is almost a very similar question I had given just before the prelims examination. I was taking the current affairs session just before prelims, and that is where I had given this question. And the same question was actually asked in your prelims examination also. So either we both had the same source, or maybe they were watching my lecture. Then we have blockchain technology. Now, when it comes to blockchain technology, understand what is blockchain. And today, again, we see that blockchain technology is something that is being used very widely. I mean, whether it is for cryptocurrencies, whether it is for NFCs, NFTs, or even in various sectors like the legal sector, etc., we see that uh, the sectors have been making the use of blockchain. So we'll try to understand what we mean by blockchain, the various properties of blockchain technology, and how these properties become useful for us in one way or the other. Now, when it comes to blockchain technology, two words: block, chain. So what do we mean by block and what do we mean by chain? And what is this blockchain technology? So what we say is that this is a decentralized distributed ledger that records the provenance of a digital asset, and it is also called as distributed ledger technology. Now understand the meaning of what we are saying. That first thing is, what do we mean by a digital asset? What do you mean when you are saying that it's a digital asset? So digital asset is anything that is digital, any digital device that you're using, you can call that digital device as a digital asset. Now for example, video, a video can be called as a digital asset, an audio file can be called as a digital asset, a PDF file can be called as a digital asset. So anything that you can exchange digitally, anything that you can exchange via a digital medium, you can call that as a digital asset. So now when it comes to blockchain technology, blockchain uh, technology is where we see that blockchain technology is where we can use it in various different ways. Now, why all of a sudden blockchain technology over the last 1 decade, we have seen that it has become a very popular technology? What's the reason? All of a sudden, why has it become such a popular technology? Of course, it got popularized because of cryptocurrencies, but later we have seen that it's not only cryptocurrencies there where they're useful. They can be useful in various different sectors. So what are these sectors where they are useful, and how exactly do we use it? And for that, we need to first understand the properties of blockchain and how exactly does a blockchain work. Suppose that it's a cryptocurrency. All right, there's a cryptocurrency exchange. Suppose it's a Bitcoin. There's a Bitcoin, and I have to send one Bitcoin to somebody. Suppose that I'm sending one Bitcoin to my brother. Now, if I'm sending one Bitcoin, Bitcoins operate via blockchain or blockchain technology. So what happens is that as soon as I initiate the transaction, there is a block that will be created. A block is created which is related to the transaction. A block related to the transaction or representing the transaction is created. And this block is then broadcasted to all the nodes of the network. Of the network. Now, when we say nodes of the network, the meaning of nodes basically is a lot of users who are there in this network, who exist in this network. So a copy of this block goes to everyone, and then the nodes, they have to validate. The nodes will have to validate the block, and once the block is validated by the nodes, this is how the block is added to the chain. So overall, it is a scenario like this, that you have these blocks. You have all these blocks, and these blocks are connected via chains. You have all these blocks, and blocks are connected via chains. So that's why it's a blockchain technology. Blockchain. So now, what do we mean by a block, and what is this chain? So in this particular scenario, what you see is that I had to transfer money via blockchain. I initiated the transaction. A block was created representing that transaction, and then it went to all the nodes of the network. And now this is where it becomes interesting, what the blockchain is. So if, let's say, any kind of exchange is happening, forget about cryptocurrency and forget about any Bitcoin. Suppose I had to send you a PDF file. Suppose the notes of this lecture, I had to send you a PDF file which is the notes of this lecture. So as soon as I do that, I can do that with the help of blockchain technology. I can design a blockchain technology which will help me in sending this data out, or sending this PDF to you. Now, as soon as I do this, what happens is, first, a block will be created. So suppose that there is a small block, and the PDF is kept inside this block. And then this is now going to the network, that we are interacting via a network. So now, as it goes to this network, it is going towards you. First, there are a lot of copies created. A lot of copies created. And how many copies? Depending on how many nodes we have in the network. Now, nodes are users. So suppose that I had to send this PDF file to only one person. Suppose only one of you. The rest of you in the classroom, suppose that I'm sending it to my brother. Forget about everything. Suppose that I'm sending these PDF notes to my brother. So there is a PDF file, and I'm sending my PDF file to my brother via blockchain. Now, suppose that you are all the nodes in the network. Every one of you sitting in this classroom, you are the nodes in the network. Your job is to validate this transaction. You have to validate whether a correct block has been sent or not. Is it a valid block or not? So that is your job. So as soon as I'm sending it, a copy 50, let's suppose that there are 50 people in this classroom, then 50 copies of this block has been created, and it has got to all 50 of you. Now your job is to validate. Now, how do you validate that? Is it just suppose that, okay, you will say that validated, signed, or is it a yes or no button on your computer screen, and you'll press yes, validated, and you're done? That's not the case. What happens is that for every node in the network, they would have to solve a complex mathematical problem. Everyone will have to solve a complex mathematical problem to validate the transaction. Now, this is where the things become complex. That for every node in the network, all right, let's say you are all the nodes in the network. For every node in the network, for every correct validation you get paid. That if you get the job done well, if you have done the correct validation, then you are paid for it. So you'll feel that, okay, fine, that's a good job, then let's all become a node, and only thing that we have to do is validate the transactions, and as soon as I validate, I get paid for it. Nothing better than this. But unfortunately, the things will not be that easy for any node. First, they need to keep their systems running all the time, so the energy consumption is there, a lot of energy consumption. Then for validating the blocks, they have to solve a complex mathematical problem. So I know half of you already lost interest as soon as you uh, heard the words complex mathematical. So because these are, I mean, complex mathematics does not mean that it's a very high order mathematics. It's just because a lot of calculations have to be done. So for doing all these calculations, a normal computer or a normal, let's say, laptop or a mobile phone will not do your job. For this, you need very high end systems which can run the calculations very quickly. So that's why you need high end systems. So you have to spend a lot before you become a node. So once you become a node, validation, for validation, the transactions go to you. You solve the complex mathematical problem, you validate the block, and you send. And as soon as you send, the block is validated. Now, even if one node in the network, suppose that out of 50 of you, 49 of you validated the block, 50th person invalidated the block, did not validate the block. If there is even one person who invalidates the block will not go further. The blockchain, it will not be added to the blockchain, even if there is one person who goes against. So either you have said something positive, or let's say you did not participate, so then that's fine. But if you have invalidated the block, then the block will not be added to the blockchain. It's like the veto power in UN General Assembly, Security Council, where even if one member that holds the veto, even if they vote against something, then it's gone. So something similar happens here also, that even if uh, one user or one node, if they invalidate the transaction cannot go further. So if, let's say, everyone has validated, the transaction goes further, the transaction is completed. And for correct validation, you get paid. My job got done, so everyone is happy. Now, in this particular scenario, one more thing that is worth to note is that the users or the nodes in the network, they will be anonymous. They are all anonymous. I as a user who is doing the transaction does not know who they are, and that's why I cannot do anything to change their decision, to make them work for me or make them work in my favor, because you do not know who they are, you do not know where they are from, you do not know their email IDs, phone numbers, Aadhaar card numbers, or anything for that matter. You don't know anything, you just know a username. So there could be any username that all these nodes, let's say you are all the nodes, so you are using some username. So I only know the username, I don't know the background of that username, I do not know anything about that user. So that's why the user is also safe, and that's why, you know, playing around with the node or trying to influence the node in one direction or another is all not possible. So that's why we see that this is how blockchain will also ensure the security aspects of this entire network. So that's why there are a lot of these properties that we have for this. We are saying that it's a distributed network. So all the participants, because all the participants have a copy of the ledger. So as I said, that everyone has a copy of the blockchain, and hence when you do start your job, you'll see that a copy of that block will also go to everyone. So it's a distributed system. Then it's immutable. Immutable means that any validated records are irreversible, meaning that the block, once you have added the block to the blockchain, the block cannot be removed. And this is also a security feature, that somebody cannot come back 2 hours later or 3 hours later and modify the block or change the block or delete the block or whatever. So that's not even possible. So that's why once the block has been added, the block cannot be removed. Just remember this. It's just like, let's say, suppose if you use Gmail. So, or any email facility. So what happens is, let's say you write an email, somebody replies to it, somebody else replies to it, and then you also say something, somebody else says something, and then there is an email chain that has been created. Now out of this email chain, it's not that you can just delete your email. Correct? You cannot. Once it has been added to the email chain, you cannot just remove one of the emails. So that's why even if you have to modify something, you'll have to write another email saying that whatever I had written in the previous email was wrong, so I just want to write that email again, and this is here, this is what it is. So in this manner, just remember this, that when it comes to blockchain, uh, it becomes very uh, important for us to understand that there are these properties. So this is what immutability means, that the blocks that you've added once, they cannot be removed. Blocks once added can't be removed. Right? Blocks once added cannot be removed. So this is basically what we see with this particular technology. Now immutable. Then another feature is they being time stamped, meaning that every exchange or every transaction, when it has happened, is also exactly uh, recorded on the block. All right, so the block will have their addresses, so something like this. So suppose that the first addition happened at 3 p.m., then second happened at 3:30, third happened at 4:30, fourth happened at 6 p.m. So let's say this is how it happened. So it would also have an idea about, I mean, the block address. Each and every block will have its own address. So each and every block address will also have the timestamp with it. So that's why you'll know when exactly what has happened. So even if, let's say, somebody tries to hack into the system, suppose that somebody tries to hack into the third block. So as soon as they do that, the time itself will change. Whenever they have tried to modify it, the time will change. So maybe the time will start showing as 3 p.m. and then 3:30 p.m. and instead of 4:30, let's say, it is showing 7 p.m. that somebody came later, so 7 p.m. and then the last one again showing 6 p.m. So then you would know that there is something which is wrong, right? There's something wrong because the third time period should have been before third time period should have been before 6 p.m. So that's why you would know, and the nodes will know, and as soon as the nodes know, they can just shut down the operation. They can just block whatever somebody is doing. So timestamp. So that also becomes a very prominent feature. Then it's unanimous. Unanimous meaning that all the nodes, as we discussed, that all these nodes, they have to validate. So all network participants agree to the validity of each of the records. Then anonymity. So anonymity is something that we discussed, that all the nodes, you do not know about every node, any node for that matter, and even the nodes do not know who the users are. So it's not only that I do not know who you are, you also don't know how who I am. So that's why everybody is supposedly safe because nobody knows anyone. So that's why there are no chances of making friends and foes. You cannot make enemies, you cannot make friends because nobody knows anyone. Nobody knows who they are, where they are from, etc. So that's why this anonymity is maintained in this crucial. So nodes and users, nodes and users are anonymous. Nodes and users are anonymous, and that's why we do not know who they are. We do not know anything about them. Then it's a secured network. They are all encrypted individually. Each and every block is also encrypted. And then lastly, a very, very important property, that it is programmable. Right? It is programmable. So programmable meaning what? That you can actually, we can choose what all properties of blockchain we want to use. We can choose what all properties of blockchain we want to use. So let's say you do not want somebody to be anonymous. Suppose that a company a company is using for some of its product for internal discussion, they are using blockchain. So then in that case they cannot allow the employees to be anonymous, correct? They would want to know each and every employee that is participating. So that's why you can program blockchain, accordingly, according to the requirements that you have. So that's why all these properties they add together and they become very very crucial technology. There are also certain issues that there can be transaction cost associated with it. Then it uses a lot of energy, especially we are talking about nodes and their systems, or the computers that they are using. So that's why they use a lot of energy, because they are high end systems, they have to be switched on all the time. So there are all these issues. And then the complexity of designing this network. What we discussed was some of the just basics of how blockchain technology works. But overall what we'll see is that blockchain technology becomes very complex to somebody to think about and to design anything based on blockchain. And then there's the problem of storage. And the problem of storage basically comes from the nodes, because the nodes have to store every part of the blockchain, and the blockchain only keeps on increasing in size. So there is some space that it is going to occupy, and overall that's why storage can become a challenge. With more blockchain technology use, we might see that this might become a challenge. Now overall when it comes to this, it has been more popularized by cryptocurrencies. Now, cryptocurrencies over the last 1 decade or so, what they have done is that they have created a market for blockchain. They have been the ones who which have created the market for blockchain, and mainly popularized by bitcoins, because bitcoin as a cryptocurrency has been using blockchain. So, cryptocurrency is any digital asset designed to work as a medium of exchange that uses strong cryptography to secure financial transactions. Now, what we do is that it can be used as a an exchange of money. All right. Now, how exactly we use it is that you will find that cryptocurrencies can act as a digital currency, just like any fiat money. Similarly, they can also become parallel money, and they also have their value in the market. For example, do you know how much this one Bitcoin cost right now? What is the value of one Bitcoin currently? Any idea, anyone? Some lakhs, some 30 lakhs. Yeah, it's almost, I think, 39 lakhs or 40 lakhs, somewhere around that range. So one Bitcoin is almost rupees 39, 40 lakhs. Can somebody just check? Almost 39, 40 lakhs is the current price of one Bitcoin. So that's why Bitcoin trading also happens, that there is the currency market, and you can go to the cryptocurrency market and you can do the trading. And in India, trading on cryptocurrencies last couple of years, we have seen that uh, uh, it has started becoming popular a lot. Okay, it's 39 lakhs 1,009, so almost I was correct. So it is almost 39 lakhs. So what you have seen is that it's not only about transactions that you can do, but also trading. And in India, transactions are not allowed, trading is allowed. That you cannot buy or sell things with the help of cryptocurrencies, but you can trade in cryptocurrency, the value of cryptocurrency. So that's why there is a cryptocurrency market, and there are so many people who are just losing their money in cryptocurrencies. That if you look at the fluctuation, just go and look at the chart for the last 3 years and how the values have fluctuated. In last 1 year, they have grown from somewhere around just 15-16 lakhs in March 2023 to almost 40 lakhs now. So if you had invested in one Bitcoin, your money has been doubled. But if you had invested money 4 years back, you still haven't got the value for that money, because the value started with very small number, and the value had just gone on to increase to almost 50 lakhs, and then again it dropped from there and went on to go as low as almost 14-15 lakhs, and from there on again it has risen to almost 39 lakhs. So that's why from this perspective we see that there is a lot of volatility in the trading of cryptocurrencies, and unfortunately a lot of people lose their money. More money is being lost in cryptocurrencies than probably in stock market. So that's why it becomes very crucial to also understand the problems. Then there is something called as NFT. NFT stands for non-fungible token. NFT stands for non-fungible token. Now, non-fungible token is where we are talking about something like a ticket. How is a ticket? Let's say you are traveling somewhere via train, bus, or flight, whatever it is. If they're issuing you tickets, all the tickets look similar, right? All the tickets look very similar. Even let's say in a movie, all the tickets look very similar. But where's the change? The seat number, your name, all these information will be different, but they look similar. So something like that is called as non-fungible token, right? Something like of that sort is called as non-fungible token. So now these non-fungible tokens, they also become very popular. They also became very popular, and we saw that artwork, paintings, collectibles, etc. were being exchanged via NFTs, and people were creating NFTs. You can create, let's say for example, I am an artist, all right, and I have created a new artwork, and I have 10 copies of this digital artwork. So I am saying that, look, I'm only going to sell 10 copies of it, and each copy uh, is going to cost rupees 10 lakh, for example, let's say. So but there are only 5 copies of it, let's say only 10 copies of it, 10 lakh each. So what then happens is that I am creating 10 tickets for this, and I will only sell these 10 tickets. Now if let's say I am an artist who is famous, chances are that people will really want that NFT. So suppose that today you bought that NFT for rupees 10 lakhs, you just keep it with you, because you know that the value of this NFT is going to rise. So today it is 10 lakhs, but a lot more people are going to try and buy this NFT from you. So hence its value might become 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, and 40 lakhs, and whatnot. Just forget about everything. The founder of Twitter, he had actually created an NFT out of the first tweet that he had ever tweeted via Twitter. So that first tweet also became an NFT, and he sold that NFT in the market. So that's why NFT basically is a non-fungible token. And we saw that NFTs became very popular because people started collecting a lot of these NFTs, thinking that their value is going to rise. Unfortunately, the values did not rise. Not a lot of people were showing interest in a couple of months' time. So everyone then again lost their money in that. So that's why there are different ways in which NFTs can be used for artwork, collectibles, music, gaming, etc. Creating and keeping educational records, supply chain tracking, property ownership, health records. For all these cases, all these things, NFTs can actually be used. So, so that's why NFTs. So even educational records, that every educational record of yours can be, you can create an NFT out of it, and you can use it wherever you want. It's not about buying and selling in the market all the time. It's not about collectibles and music and artwork. It's also about health records, educational records, property records. All these can also be kept safe with the help of an NFT. Read this question. This was asked in the context of blockchain. I'm launching the poll for you. So 66% of you have marked B, which is the correct answer. The question says, with reference to bitcoins sometimes seen in the news, which of the following statements is or are correct? First statement is bitcoins are tracked by central banks of the countries. This is wrong. And this is where the problem lies, that it cannot be tracked because everyone is anonymous, user is anonymous, notes are anonymous, nobody knows anyone, you do not know the location, you do not know the phone number, email id, etc. So everyone is anonymous, so tracking cannot happen. That is the problem that the governments have all across the world, that why they have not really let cryptocurrencies be just used like normal money, because they have this concern that there is a security concern in this manner, that maybe uh, all the corruption money flows via bitcoins, maybe all the drug money. And that's true. When you look at the drug money, the flow of drug money worldwide, this is the safest way for drug transactions to happen, and that's why it's a menace for the central governments a lot of times. So that's why we see that a lot of countries have not allowed it, even if they have in a very limited way. For example, in the US, limited way they have allowed it. If you go to, for example, amazon.com website of the US, you'll find that there are some things, some products that you can buy via bitcoins also. So they have allowed in certain cases only, but largely no. So this is wrong. So if this is wrong, A is gone and D is gone. So 3 anyway should be correct because it's there in uh, B and C. Online payments can be sent without either side knowing the identity of the other. We discussed about this, that everyone is completely anonymous. So C, third statement definitely correct. Second statement is, anyone with a Bitcoin address can send and receive Bitcoins from anyone else with a Bitcoin address. This is also correct, that everyone has a username, and there is a concept of something called as public and private key. There's a concept of public and private keys. So public and private keys, where we are talking about just like a bank locker, that if you, let's say, have used a bank locker, you'll see that there are two keys, one key that lies with you and the other key that lies with the bank. And when both the keys are used together, then only you can open that sh- uh, locker. So something similar happens here, that there is a public key, the public key belongs to the blockchain, and then there's a private key, and the private key belongs to the end user. So when the users use their private key with the public key, then only they can establish this network. So this is what happens. And anyway, we know that everyone has a username, and anyone who has a username in a given blockchain, they can do the transactions via this. So that's the correct answer will be only 2 and 3. Next up, we have supercomputers. But before that, any question, if you have any question with regards to the last 1 hour? NFT is dependent on demand and supply. Just because we create demand, you can say that. I mean, that is what everybody has been trying, that they've tried to create a demand out of NFTs. The demand did not get created, so a lot of value that they had given to a certain NFT, the value was not generated 2 months later or 3 months later. So a lot of people, they also lost money. That initially there was a lot of enthusiasm about collecting NFTs, later it all washed away. Still didn't understand NFT, can you explain again with an example? Okay, so see, what we are saying in an NFT is that these are non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens are like tickets. Suppose that you are going on a flight and there is a boarding pass that they have given you. Boarding pass of every traveler will, every passenger will look the same, just that the names will be different, the seat numbers will be different. That is where they will be different. Otherwise the looks will be similar. So same happens with NFTs, that these are unique. Although they look similar, these are unique. So suppose that I have, as I said, that let's say I am an artist and I created 10 artworks. So these 10 artworks, I'll create 10 tickets for each artwork, and the only 10 people who have these tickets, they have the exclusive uh, access to the painting. And somebody else, and suppose that I sold it for 10 lakhs a piece. Now one of the person who has collected this NFT might want to sell it later, that after the demand for this artwork increases, I will sell it in the market. So maybe then they are passing on this NFT to somebody else for even a higher value, for maybe a value of almost 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs. So this is how NFTs work. How safe cryptocurrencies are? I would say very, very safe. I mean, compared to the normal money, it is supposed to be safer than the money that we are using normally. Dark web accepted bitcoins. Yeah, dark web does accept bitcoins. A lot of them do. In brief, blockchain, please. So in case of blockchain, what we are saying is that there is a block that has all the information, that basically uh, has a digital asset inside it, and this block basically will be used as a part of this blockchain, and it will be, given to all the nodes who are there in the network. The nodes have to validate the transaction or validate the block, and as the block is validated, it is added to the blockchain. Blockchain technology is used only for transaction of money? No, not at all. As I told you, you can use it for any digital asset, anything. Even exchanging a PDF file, you can use it. Music file, you can use it. Contracts are signed using blockchain technology. So there are a lot of ways in which blockchain can be used. How data transfer without knowing the receiver? Generally it is on the basis of the username, that you have to go and search for the particular username that somebody has given you, and you basically will be doing based on that. How does newly proposed satellite based fast tag different? So see, basically they are not going to use fast tag here. Instead of that, GPS is supposed to be used, that the vehicle number plate will be captured via GPS, and then it will collect the toll automatically on its own, without you having to do anything about it. What relation does solving a mathematical problem correctly have with validation of a data transfer? And what if someone is not able to solve it correctly? So validation, I mean, that step that has been created, that step is not really solving a random problem, but actually it is the address of the block itself. The address of the block is encrypted, and it can be a very large address. I mean, the address is not the normal addresses that we have. It could be a 56 character address which has been encrypted. Now you decrypting that address of the block is the complex mathematical problem, so that you recognize that block and then you add that block to the blockchain. So that is why, that is the relation. And second question you had is, What if someone is not able to solve the problem? Then in that case, they would not be a participant. So it's not that they would come in the way of validation, it's just that they would not be a participant, they would not be counted as a participant in that network. How are people earning through NFTs with an example? So basically uh, it's like anything which can increase in value. Suppose real estate property, all right? You buy one flat for rupees 1 crore. You know that you have bought a flat in a very good location where the prices are going to rise in the next 10 years. So you just buy that flat and you just wait. And let's say you bought it for rupees 1 crore, and then 3 years later it it has become a very good area, so a lot of people are showing interest, and hence now that value from 1 crore, it has increased to, let's say, 5 crores. So now you would sell it. So something similar happens with NFTs, that today you bought it for some money, you know that it is going to have a lot of weightage in the market later, and you want to sell it then. You want to sell it when it has already generated a lot of uh, value. How NFTs were sold? What if the original owner claims it after selling? No, the original owner cannot claim it because they are the ones who have sold it, and that too over blockchain, where each and every step is being noted. So nobody can simply say something and get away with it. Supercomputer size. Supercomputer size could be a room. The picture that you see right here is a supercomputer. A room, or maybe even bigger than a couple of rooms, maybe an entire floor. What's the need of blockchain? The need of blockchain basically is security. Wherever you need security, wherever you need very secure transactions in any way, this is where blockchain becomes useful. In blockchain and Bitcoin, the user, sender, and the nodes all are anonymous. So how do user know whom they are sending the block? The user might recognize the receiver using their address. Uh, Second question, the answer is no, they might not, because the username does not mean anything. Let's say my username is Angel Priya. So you do not know anything about me just with my username. So that's why username does not say anything. First, to answer your first question, that the if everyone is anonymous, then how does anyone know about anything? See, nodes don't care. Nodes do not have to care about anything. They just have to see whether or not they see a fraud transaction or not. So if they find a fraud transaction, they would report it and wouldn't let it pass through. And as for the end users, there would be a way they would have already contacted, and where the money is to be supposed to be sent, that somebody has said that okay, you just have to send that money to this username, that's it. So, and then in that case the users might do that, and again there is no digital trail that somebody can catch. Offline yes, but online no. How to use blockchain technology? Can we use it? Blockchain technology can be used in various different ways, as I just discussed, that it's not only cryptocurrencies, but there are a lot of ways in which it can be used. So, and we have been just trying to find ways in which they can be utilized. So for example, whether it is uh, in keeping the records, whether it is in a lot of legal firms have started using it. So there are ways in which they can be used. Can we use it? The answer again is yes, that yes, you can design your own blockchain network based on whatever you need and whatever you want. Are there medical and ecological issues of using 5G? No, see, with regards to 5G, what we understand is that 5G cannot cause some kind of an issue, because I mean, mostly it is believed that it might not cause any issue, because in case of 5G, what we generally see is that radio waves are being used, right? So in case of radio waves, we understand that radio waves, in I mean, whatever research has happened, in most of the cases we haven't found anything very problematic or health concern with radio waves. And in 5G, largely it is radio waves. Although there are certain reports that have come which have talked about how it can have an ecological effect because it can affect the birds, and hence the habitats of the birds uh, can be negatively impacted. So that's why there are certain issues like these, and although still under debate, still under discussion, and nothing very you can say clear whether it is going to cause some problem or not going to cause any problem. Is crypto an example of NFT? No, no, no. Crypto and NFT both are examples of blockchain. All right, both are examples of blockchain. Deep South, a supercomputer developed by Australian scientists, aims to replicate human brain synapses. Yes, that is true. And they actually had given the name also. I think there was an IBM supercomputer called as True North. And the opposite of True North, they basically kept, which was able to play chess and defeat people in playing chess. You might have heard about this. So they created a supercomputer called as Deep South. Blockchain is a machine? No, it's not a machine, it's a network. It's a network. And uh, how to give an example, it's not one single machine. Basically, we are saying that every computer can be connected to this particular network, a wide network. Just think of any network like an internet. All right, so you have a network provider which is providing you the internet. So it's not one machine, but a lot of machines which are connected. What is dark web and its relation with blockchain? uh, Dark web is not directly related to blockchain. Dark web basically, when we talk about internet, all right, so on the internet there are three levels or layers of internet. One layer is called as the surface web. Surface web is where you have all the indexed pages. Indexed pages meaning something that you can search, that if you go on Google search and you send search for something and you're getting a lot of pages, correct, a lot of results. So that is the indexed page, that is the surface web. Then there is deep web. Deep web is where these are not indexed pages. For example, let's say your Facebook account or your Instagram account. Somebody cannot just go inside that Instagram account or Facebook account as you. Only you can do that when you log in with your ID and password. So that is called as deep web. The web which is hidden, which is not indexed. So you have surface web and deep web, and then there is something called as dark web. So dark web is that hidden part. It's a part of that hidden internet itself, but something which is being used for negative purposes. Maybe being used in drug related activities, maybe for uh, human trafficking, illegal activities like that. Even in case of pornography, we see that in all these cases you have dark web which is used, where it cannot be tracked. It's a part of deep web, non-indexed pages, hence it cannot be tracked. Nobody would know where these pages are and how these pages are, unless you know the exact IP address and unless you know the exact URL, which is not indexed. So you cannot search on your own unless you know what you have to search for. So blockchain is not directly related to it when it comes to dark web. But if you say in what sense are they connected, then in that case a lot of transactions, illegal transactions via blockchain, are done on the dark web. That is where the connection lies. That means just using phone also could be harmful because it uses radio waves. Again, overuse can be, because there are issues with how they can also alter the sleep cycle, because they can actually interact with the hormones. So uh, you might have heard that people say that when you sleep at night, don't sleep with your mobile phone lying next to your head, and instead just keep it somewhere around. So because some of the researchers have said that they can actually play around, uh, the blue light can actually affect your brain, and it can alter the sleep cycle and can lead to you not sleeping very well. Currently government is using blockchain technology in any field. Government wants to use, I mean, there are things that they are working on where blockchain technology can be used, and largely this is where they need encrypted information. Wherever, in for example, let's say in defense sector, they are using blockchain technology. Is username also the address in blockchain? No, 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 because the address is of the block and not of the user. So no. Yeah, phones do affect your eyes, but I mean, large, that's different. But radio waves wise, they can have an impact on the brain. How can we use blockchain technology? Is it available in the public domain? You can create your own blockchain. You can, I mean, blockchain is a publicly available, you can say, an open source network, and you can design your own open source your own network based on blockchain technology. Think of it as a concept, that there's a concept that you know of, and you're applying that concept for one reason, for in one way or the other. Bitcoins can't be traded and sold. Bitcoins can be traded. Wi-Fi hotspot relation to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi hotspot basically is a virtual network that you can create on your phone, which acts like a Wi-Fi, because it is going to transmit internet wirelessly. IP address can be tracked in blockchain? No, cannot be. Sorry to ask again, what is the address of a block? So address of a block basically is, let's say, let me just go back. Suppose that these are the four blocks. Now these are addresses, all right? So suppose that uh, this block is represented by, suppose, A. Then this block has another address AB, this block has another address ABC, this block has another address ABCD, and so on. So in this manner, what happens is that there is an address given to, you can say, to keep it unique, there is an address given to each and every block, just like how all the houses have their addresses, which makes it unique. If somebody has to send something, then this address is to be allocated. Similarly, for every block there is an address, and that address will be determined by where they belong, in what blockchain they are. Depending on that, they have their own addresses. Who controls blockchain in network? Who controls blockchain in network, public or private? No, depends. I mean, if a company wants to use it, it will be a private network. Or if, let's say, it is something like a Bitcoin, it is not really a private network. Right, too many questions. Let's move on. So next topic for us is supercomputers. Now supercomputer, as you can see, that it's not your typical computer that you can open on your desktop desk, but instead it can be the entire room, it can be an entire building, can be the supercomputer. So now supercomputer, why the name? Because it's very fast, because it is very fast, hence called as supercomputer. Now in case of supercomputers, what we basically see is that it's a computer that performs at or near the current highest operational rate for computers. At or near the current highest rates, meaning that they are the fastest. Of all the computing networks that we have, supercomputers are the fastest. And their speeds are measured in petaflops. Speeds are measured in petaflops. So, peta, do you know what is peta? How much is peta? Any idea? Anyone? How much is peta? When we use this prefix peta, how much is it? Not 10 to the power of 12. See, we start from here. You have kilo. How much is kilo? 10 to the power of 3. Then comes mega. Mega is 10 to the power of 6. Then you have giga. Giga is 10 to the power of 9. Then you have tera, which is 10 to the power of 12. Then you have peta, which is 10 to the power of 15. And then in this context, there is exa, which is 10 to the power of 18. So this is what we mean by peta. Peta means 10 to the power of 15. Floating point operations per second. Floating point operations, in a manner, you can say that we are talking about arithmetic. Arithmetic calculations, addition, subtraction, division, etc., they can be called as floating point operations. So when we say petaflops, so if let's say a computer or a supercomputer has a speed of 1 petaflop, so 1 petaflop would mean 10 to the power of 15 calculations in 1 second. 10 to the power of 15 calculations in 1 second. That is what 1 petaflop would be. The fastest supercomputer right now that we have in the world is the Frontier supercomputer that belongs to the US, and this is having an efficiency of 1102 petaflops, meaning 1102 into 10 to the power of 15 calculations can be done in 1 second by this supercomputer. That's why it, you can also call it as 1.102 exaflops. All right. So this is the fastest supercomputer of the world right now. Now, when it comes to the Indian supercomputers, we started our supercomputer program back in 1987. In 1987, we started our first supercomputer program, and then after that, we see that slowly there are a lot of new supercomputers that now India has taken. So overall, there are almost, I think, 28 supercomputers, out of which there are 15 supercomputers as a part of the Param program, and the Param Ananta became the latest supercomputer. And then in 2024, there are a couple of new supercomputers which will also come up. Then we also took the National Supercomputing Mission, and as a part of the National Supercomputing Mission, we wanted to build new supercomputers that will solve national and international problems in various different sectors. Now, today we see that there are a lot of ways in which supercomputers can become useful. So, for example, they can be used in agriculture. They can be, if you look at the various applications, they can be used in predicting climate change or studying climate change altogether, studying the universe and space, material engineering, pharmaceutical research, data mining, seismic analysis, atomic energy, disaster simulation, even in case of agriculture, in case of genetic studies. So the list goes on. The list goes on, and anything wherever you need very fast data processing, wherever you need very fast data processing speeds, this is where you'll see that supercomputers can be very useful. So that is where supercomputers are also being used today in all these different scenarios. Now, coming to the last topic of this particular chapter, this is quantum technologies. Now, today we see that quantum technologies are taking a lot of center stage, and there are a lot of ways in which quantum technologies are being used today. And we have found various ways in which quantum technologies can become useful. So, we'll try to understand what do we mean by quantum technologies and how to use quantum technologies. Now, first and foremost, what is quantum technology? Quantum mechanics or quantum physics is where we derive various technologies, and hence we talk about them. So anyone who knows what do we mean by quantum mechanics, what is quantum mechanics, or what is quantum physics as we call it? Any idea what is quantum mechanics? Mechanics of atoms, yes, perfect. Study of the particle size properties, that's also correct. Microtech, yes, you can say in a manner. Very good. Electron study, yes, in a manner, correct. Involving subatomic particles, yes. So more or less you understand, correct. We are talking about the fundamental theories in physics which are trying to derive or tell us about the behavior and nature of all the subatomic particles or below the atomic level. So at or below the atomic level, whatever we have, uh, there we say that it is quantum mechanics, and then quantum physics, quantum chemistry, all these things can be there. So now when we talk about quantum mechanics, this is study of the subatomic particles. All right, study of the subatomic particles will be called as quantum mechanics. Now the concepts of quantum mechanics are very weird and very complex. It's almost impossible to understand because uh, the kinds of properties it defines and talks about, it doesn't resonate with anything that we find at our level. Whatever we observe at our level, the atomic or the subatomic level is very weird and very different, and that's why it's very complex, and that's why uh, we are talking about this in this particular picture as well. The first time you read about quantum mechanics versus the thousandth time that you read about quantum mechanics, your expressions do not change. You still do not understand what they are and how they function. So that is why the quantum technologies have been very complex, one of the most complex technologies that world has ventured into. And today, although we see that a lot of countries have been trying, India has its own quantum computing mission, China has it, US has it, a lot of European countries, Russia, Australia, Japan. In all these countries we see that they have been doing a lot of research on quantum mechanics, so and quantum technologies. So first and foremost, we'll go to quantum technology and we'll talk about what quantum computing and all these things. But before that, some basics we should know, because now that it's so much in the news, chances are that they can ask you some basic questions based on quantum technologies. So in very simple words, in very as simple as I can make it, I'll try, but we'll try to understand some of the properties. The first property of quantum technology is wave particle duality. Now, when we talk about wave particle duality, what we mean is that your subatomic particle can behave like a wave and it can also behave like a particle. Anyone who knows what this film is or what film I have taken this from? Some people know. Yeah, Nagin. So, what happened in Nagin film? Uh, Sri Devi could take the human form and could take the snake form as well. So snake form, you can say that it's like the wave form, and the particle form you can say is like the human form. So she could do that at our level. Otherwise, I am not capable. I hope you are also not capable. But she was capable. So that is what wave particle duality is. When a subatomic particle can behave like a wave and also can behave like a particle, it has both these properties. So that's very weird that you are saying that the same thing can actually occur as two different things. Can work like a wave, can behave like a wave, can behave like a particle. Electrons, for example, we count the number of electrons inside an atom, so then it's a particle, then only you are counting it. While we discussed about tunneling, where they are entering like a wave, so you have the wave particle and wave property and the particle property at the same time. So particles such as electrons and photons exhibit properties of both waves and particles. So that's why we are talking about the wave particle duality. Then there is the superposition principle. Now, superposition principle says that particles can exist in multiple states at the same time. Particles can exist in multiple states at the same time. So now even this is something which is very difficult to understand. Anyone who knows about this film and why this film is famous? De Broglie principle. Oh, somebody remembers. Wave particle duality. That's correct. I did not use that term because I know many would not resonate with it. Yes, it got the Oscar. It got the Oscar for the best film last year. That is 2022. So everything everywhere all at once. This is where the actually the film is based on quantum technologies. I mean, it is based on the principle of superposition. So superposition is where we are saying that particles can exist in multiple states at the same time. Multiple states at the same time. So suppose now again, suppose that you had a person who could exist in various different states at the same time, or various locations at the same time. Suppose, let's say right now for you, I am existing on your screen. All right, I am existing on your screen. So wherever you are, I can say that I am in that district. So you do not perhaps know where I'm sitting. I could be sitting in Kolkata, in Delhi, in Bangalore, in Karachi, in Rawalpindi. I could be sitting anywhere. You do not know where I'm sitting. Just that I'm in your screen and interacting with you via a digital medium. So in that case, I am existing in multiple states at the same time in a manner of saying, I can say. But we see that something similar happens in case of subatomic particles, that they can exist in multiple states at the same time, but basically meaning multiple energy levels at the same time. That is what we mean by states, multiple energy levels at the same time. So which is again very weird, which does not really happen at our stage, at our level. Then there is the uncertainty principle. The uncertainty principle says that it is impossible for us to simultaneously determine the exact, so it is impossible to simultaneously determine the exact position and momentum of a particle. That you can either know about the position or the speed. Let's simplify it. Either you would know about the speed of the particle or the position of the particle. You cannot know both. If you know exactly what the position of an electron is, you wouldn't know their speed. If you exactly know what their speed is, you wouldn't know where they are. So you can only calculate the probability. So if the probability of speed, or the probability of finding speed is higher, then the probability of knowing the position is low. If the probability of finding the position is higher, the probability of finding the speed is low. So this is what uncertainty principle says, that you cannot know about both at the same time. And that's why you can, that's why you cannot really say that this is what happens. And in a manner you can say that it is an extension of what we discussed in superposition, that there are multiple states that we discussed there, and you can only know about that position unless you are there with that particle. So if you are there with the particle, then only you will know the position, otherwise you do not. Otherwise you can only guess the position and the momentum and speed. So just forget about everything, just remember this, that for us it's impossible to know both position and speed. Let me write this in brackets: momentum or speed of the particles both at the same time. There's this famous example of Schrodinger's cat, where it says that you cannot know this, where there is an experiment that it talks about, where in the experiment what you're doing is that you're keeping a cat in a box, and then the cat is there in the box, you cannot see the cat inside the box, and then suppose you stab through the box. Now when you stabbed, whether uh, the knife reached the cat or not, you do not know. So for you, the cat is both dead and alive unless you open the box. Unless you open the box, and I hope you find that the cat is alive. So then you know the exact position, and you exact know the exact state. Until the time you did not know. Until the time you only knew, you can say that you, for you, the cat was both dead and alive. So this is what uncertainty principle is. Then after this, there is the entanglement principle. Now, entanglement principle is also very weird. What it says is that there are where two particles become correlated in such a way that the state of one particle affects the state of other particle, even when they are separated by a large distance. Anyone who knows about this film, or any film named similar, wherever you have two brothers and two sisters, etc., you might have seen that they show this. For example, in this film, what it shows is that, yeah, even Judwa 2, so Judwa 1, Judwa 2, doesn't matter, all those are same films. So what they have shown there is that if you do something to one of the brothers, the second brother also feels the same. That if you slap one Salman Khan, the other Salman Khan also gets slapped. So they are both connected, although they are separated by distance, but they are both connected. So this is what entanglement is, where you have two particles which, although they are separated by distance, all right, they are separated by distance, but their properties are connected. So if you do something to one particle, the other particle will also show the same thing. If you make some changes in the first particle, the second particle will also show the same changes. This is what entanglement principle is. So so that's why the very famous scientist David Dhawan in his films has actually showed the entanglement property. Uh, First time it was predicted by Albert Einstein again, and he called it as spooky action at distance. Spooky action at distance. This is what Einstein had said. Spooky action at distance. So in case of spooky action at distance, we see that what he said is that he had observed that there are these two electrons, although they are in completely different positions, yet if something happens to one electron, the same happens to the other electron also. So he said that it's unbelievable that this is happening. So it's like a spooky action happening at a distance. So that's why he named it as spooky action at distance in case of entanglement, where we are just saying that these two are particles, although separated by distance, their properties are connected. And then lastly, we have quantum tunneling, something that we discussed as a part of nanotechnology as well, where we discussed about scanning tunneling microscope. So tunneling is where the subatomic particles can pass through a potential barrier even when it does not have enough energy to overcome the barrier. Now, this is again weird, but this can happen. That electrons can actually enter inside uh, a substance, even though they do not have enough energy to break the barrier and enter. So, this film, for example, Ant-Man, where we have seen that all these characters, they could just shrink and they could just enter inside the quantum. They called this as it as quantum realm. That they could just enter inside and they could uh, pass through. Yes, actually, also the example of Lord Hanuman, that he also had that power, that he could just shrink himself and he could enter inside the body. So that's true. In Ramayana, it has been actually given as an example. So quantum tunneling, where we are saying that the particles will be able to break, the subatomic particle will be able to break the energy barrier and enter inside the surface, right? Break the energy barrier, enter inside the surface, and that is exactly what happens in case of these quantum technologies. So that's why just remember these basics, because these are the basic concepts which are applied in any kind of quantum technology. Anyway, wherever we are trying to use quantum technologies today, in each and every way we see that quantum technologies are making the use of all these basic principles. Now, based on this, we have quantum computing. Now, quantum computing is where we are talking about a new kind of computer which is supposed to be the fastest computer ever, way faster than even a supercomputer. So until now, we are talking about supercomputers being the fastest supercomputers. But once quantum computing becomes a reality, supercomputers also will be nowhere. Even supercomputers will be no match for quantum computers. So quantum computers basically are the computers which are based on quantum technologies, where you have a basic memory unit called as a quantum bit or a qubit, and the principles on which they are based are superposition and entanglement. Now, based on superposition and entanglement, how it works is that they would be able to read through various different stages at the same time. Normally, what happens is that in case of a, let's say, a normal computer where you have a bit versus when you have a qubit. In case of a bit, what happens is uh, that all the states that you have, so suppose that you have a 3-bit system. So 3-bit system means what? That you have a bunch of zeros and ones. So something like this: 000, 001, 100, then 010, 110, 011, 101, and 111. Right? So let's say these are all the states. When you have a 3-bit system, these are the potential potential states, 2 to the power of n. So that's why 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So 8 states are produced like this. So now what happens in this particular scenario is that a normal computer, so this is basically a normal computer, right? So in case of a normal computer, what we are seeing is that all these states are produced, and the system will go to one state at a time. The system goes to one state at a time. So suppose that one state takes 1 second, then a total of 8 seconds will be taken. A total of 8 seconds will be taken to go through this entire set. Correct? So everything that happens here happens sequentially. Everything happens here sequentially. Whereas in case of a qubit, even if let's say here also if you have a 3-qubit system or quantum bit system, so here also the number of states will be 2 to the power of n. You have the same qubits 0 and 1. So here the states that you have: 000, 001, 100, 010, 110, 011, 101, and 111. This time what happens is that the system will be able to run through this entire system or the entire sets only in 1 second, because of superposition, because of entanglement. Entanglement means what? That all the states are connected. The properties of all the states are connected. So that's why you can read through all the states simultaneously. Superposition means what? That all they can exist in multiple states at the same time. So that's why you can actually browse through the multiple states at the same time. So that's why all of it can be read parallelly, right? All of it can be read parallelly. So that's why you keep on increasing the number of states. The normal computer will keep on getting slowed down, whereas a case of the quantum computer, it will keep on doing all the calculations within a second, maybe a couple of seconds and all. So that is where quantum computers become such an advanced system that they would be very very fast and way faster than whatever any supercomputer can ever be. So that is where they actually see their importance. Now these qubits, although they are not easy to handle, they need very specific conditions. You need to isolate them. There should not be any extra air molecules. The temperature has to be very low, almost at absolute zero, meaning almost at minus 270 degrees Celsius. So any external factor can hamper it, and that's why it is something called as decoherence or quantum decoherence, that any such uh, condition any such condition can lead to uh, the particles losing their properties, the quantum bits losing their properties. So we always use additional. There are additional, that's why additional qubits are always needed to correct for the errors that can creep into the system because of, let's say, quantum bits losing their properties because of some external factor. So that is what we see with regards to the quantum computers. So overall, they can again be used in a lot of different ways, and you can say that more or less everything that we can use supercomputers for, we can also use quantum computers for the same. Right? So quantum computers can be used for all those things as well, and there are a lot of things that can be done, and they can be done very very fast, faster than any computing system that exists out here. And that's why we say that once quantum computers become a proper reality, the quantum computers will just change the world again. We are looking at another artificial intelligence kind of a change, where a lot of changes will be brought into the technology once computers become possible. And we see that today countries are investing a lot of money, whether it is India or other European countries or US or Japan. They're all doing a lot of investment, but China leads the way. between China and US. The highest investor is China, and second highest is US. China has invested 15 times more money on quantum computers than US. So you can just imagine the kind of money China is investing. And because China is investing so much of money, it becomes a threat for every one of us. Because, for example, any encryption system can be broken within seconds in with the help of quantum computers. So whatever encryption we are using, let's say blockchain, we know that blockchain is one of the most secured systems right now. But blockchains can be just broken within seconds with the help of a quantum computer. So where do you go then? So that's why we understand what kind of security problems it can make for us, and hence we are doing all this. We are ensuring that we can very quickly uh, also develop and not let it become a security threat for us. Then there is a concept called as quantum supremacy. Now, quantum supremacy basically means when quantum supremacy is when a quantum computer completes such a job within seconds that a normal computer can't complete in its lifetime. So just imagine this case. I mean, what we are representing here in this meme is that Google, a couple of years back, they said that now we have achieved quantum supremacy. We have been able to solve a problem within seconds. Our quantum computer has been able to solve a problem within seconds, such a problem that a normal computer could have taken 10,000 years. 10,000 years to solve that problem. We have done it in seconds. So that's why they said that now we have achieved quantum supremacy. But then IBM came, and IBM said that no, this is not quantum supremacy. We have supercomputers that could have done this job in couple of minutes. So only because of the difference of your few seconds versus my couple of minutes, you cannot say that this is quantum supremacy. So then IBM just discarded that this is not quantum supremacy. Then next year, IBM also came and said that now we have quantum supremacy. And Google also came with a technical glitch in that and said that no, this is not quantum supremacy. So this kind of a tech battle is going on, and all the biggest of the technology companies, whether it is Google or IBM or Meta or whatever it is, they all have been working on quantum computing. So that's why quantum computing can become a big thing in the coming days. In India also, we do see that India also has been working on quantum technologies. First time in budget 2020, we saw that announcement of rupees 8,000 crores were done, so that in all various different areas of quantum technologies we can start spending on. So as you can see that all these are the applications where exactly we can make the use of quantum technologies. Then there is this quantum frontier mission that the government has taken, and it is to build excellence in quantum frontier, meaning various different quantum technologies, and to understand how exactly uh, quantum technologies can be used in various different ways. So that is where all the research will start, and hence, as a part of this quantum frontier mission, we see that there is the Quest mission about a lot of research and development that is to be done, and that's why quantum enabled science and technology, or Quest, is the name given to this mission. Now again, there are all these objectives that you have of this Quest mission. I wouldn't say that it is really required that you know. I've just mentioned it because this was there in the PIB. So you should just know that these are the major four objectives. No need to go beyond this because it's very technical in nature, uh, what they have given in that particular article. This question was asked in your 2022 paper. I want to see if I get 100% correct answers or not. This is the first time they have asked the question, so that's why the question was very easy. Next time they do, they might go to a more difficult topic related to everything that we discussed. 95% of you have given the correct answer. Still, there are two of you who have not marked the correct answer. There's nothing to even explain. We are talking about qubit. Qubit basically is nothing but quantum bit, and quantum bit belongs to quantum computing. All right, let's take a break here, and we are left with one last topic, one last chapter, and that is IPR, intellectual property rights. So, on the other side of the break, let's discuss intellectual property rights. So, the time is 5:45. So, 20 minutes should be enough, right? So, let's be back by 6:05, and we'll discuss the last topic of our discussion. Okay.